be wrapped around your arms instead of being lonely. We could be gazing at the stars, but now it feels just like I wandered off into a room and closed the door behind me.
A simultaneous sigh. From beyond their battened down shelters called something strange and unseen, it drew all the people from safety with the mindlessness of a dream, meekly and half expecting surprise, holding their breath with anticipation, each timidly peeked to see what it was, trading curiosity for explanation. On front steps, porches, and lawns, young and old alike had emerged, standing there on a bright, dewy morning, awaiting sins to be rapturously purged. Hands on hips or held in another's, eyes fearing both salvation and demise. They glanced around, a bit disappointed. The only revelation of being alive. A community of unfailing skeptics had expected to find the worst. Instead, they found just themselves staring down the barrel of a new kind of earth. Slowly and one by one, each understood there was no divine manifestation. It was simply an exhale of humanity, breathing life into a bad situation. And no great hand reached down from heaven. There was no rainbow filling the sky. Nothing unusual filled the stillness, except for a simultaneous sigh. So a little history about that poem. Simultaneous Sigh is kind of born out of something that happens to me once in a while. I hear a beautiful coupling of words, or I hear a phrase, and I'm just like, wow, that's deep, you know. Whoa, man, that's deep. And I'll just write it down, and I'll start writing about it, and doing a little brainstorming and just writing things out. And what got me with a simultaneous sigh is that, you know, so many people out there believe that there's a grand rapture coming, and if you believe in that, that's great. It's not that I don't believe that something like that may happen. I believe it's going to be different than what most people believe. I don't believe that fire is going to rain down. I don't believe that there will be some alien abduction fest. I don't believe there's going to be I don't believe it's going to look anything like what we think it's going to look like. That's the bottom line. I don't believe it's going to look like anything we think it will look like. What I believe is that it's going to be something so unifying that the world will be changed forever. New emotions will emerge, that it will fundamentally change humanity. I believe it's going to just simply look different than what we believe it will. And this is my manifestation of that, is this poem. And whether you believe the same as I do or not, and whether you think it's ridiculous, it's a beautiful idea that something happens that we emerge changed, and that we emerge better and relieved. And I think, even though I wrote this poem almost 20 years ago, really just about a moment in my spiritual journey, I don't think it has any better timing to come out than right now. So that's the story. One interesting thing is that people might not think of me as an extremely religious or spiritual person, but I am. I keep it kind of all inside. It's very personal to me. But a lot of my poetry is spiritual. And one thing that people need to know about my process is that I pray before I write. Every time I pray that my words come from someplace deeper. And I will write entire poems and sit down and just write and write and write. There's things that I've written in 5 minutes this poem here, The Simultaneous Sigh, I edited it a little bit in years since, just for wording and verbiage, and my grammar's better now that I'm older. But that's pretty much the way it came out. In 5 minutes, I just sat down and wrote the whole thing out. And a lot of times it just comes to me. I'll read it after the fact and think, who wrote that? Did I just write that? And going through a lot of my poetry right now, and going through the drawers and drawers and typing things up, I'm finding things that I'm like, I don't remember writing it, but I know I wrote it. It's deeper than me. It's stronger than me. It's wiser than me. And so I guess it came from someplace deeper inside, or it came through me. I kind of feel like that a lot of my poetry and a lot of what I write isn't something that I consciously have thoughts about. It's stuff that comes through me. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know. I'm just very grateful for it. So I just make my poetry about getting it out there in the world. And that's why I write. Thanks for listening. And I hope somebody gets something out of my poetry. And I'm going to be reading some more on Instagram, on Facebook, and here on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe. When you subscribe, it helps me get the YouTube algorithms to recognize my videos more and show up more in searches. So when you like them, when you subscribe, it helps me out, and it's free and it's no obligation for you. I hope that you enjoy them too, and that you get notified and are able to engage and talk and comment, and let's start a conversation. Okay? All right. Bye for now.
I could be driving to your place, but now the ground is shaking. Could be a phase, but it feels like it will never go away until we make up. I can't be myself. I never knew how much I needed you. It should have been